Rick and his team have discovered a mysterious discovery at Smith's Cove, a site known for its high promise. They were digging deep in the garden shaft, hoping to find gold or hidden artifacts. However, they found an old wooden passageway from the 17th century connected to a section called the Baby Blob. The passage was much darker than expected, and the team began to wonder if someone had deliberately broken apart this structure centuries ago to keep something hidden or protect themselves from whatever lay beyond. They found additional antique wooden beams, part of a well-planned edifice from a lost period, as they dug. These beams proved they were on the correct track. Gary, the team's competent digger, uncovered an unusually formed aped metal item while combing the area with his metal detector. This item was older than everything else they found and looked like a past no one understood. The marsh revealed aspects of Oak Island's history, but each discovery led to something larger. Marks were set along the channel to chart it, and every excavation had to be strategic, safe, and calculated to safeguard workers and guarantee nothing was missed. They uncovered wood fragments fashioned by an antique instrument before modern machines, indicating something deeper. As the crew worked in the marsh, they uncovered additional ship bits like those they had recovered before. A brace from a 9-inch ship wood and fragment of an 8th century ship railing were uncovered in 2020. The marsh may have a deeper history with medieval explorers like the Vikings. In conclusion, the team's finding at Smith's Cove bodes well for treasure seekers seeking the island's past. Gary and Billy lead a Bahamas swamp treasure search. A holed piece of wood, a broken keel, and a massive wooden structure buried in the marsh were found. These indications convinced them the marsh held more than a treasure. Dr. Ian Spooner, a geoscientist, was hired to date the wood and determine whether it was related to the 500-year-old stone road. If linked, the location may have been a trading center centuries ago. They were enthusiastic and motivated to find anything since the swamp kept surprising them. They uncovered wood and other objects that suggested more than wealth as they went further. They uncovered royal remnants on Oak Island, showing it had a history before humans knew about it. Jamie Kuba and Fiona uncovered a 600-year-old lead coin and a gold-covered button from an 18th century British commander. A wooden building was disguised under a stone road while Marty and Rick worked on the southern marsh. The workmanship resembled ancient log homes, where every component had a function. The swamp, garden shaft, and secret road seemed connected, but the links were confusing. The squad understood they were fighting time, nature, and potentially an unknown power on a treasure hunt. As they dug, they found additional abnormalities and constructions that contradicted the area's history. As they explored, they realized the marsh was more than a historical place, but a deeper enigma. Ordinary youngster Rick Line, born in 1952 in Kingsford, Michigan, loved history and buried treasures. The legends of buried wealth and forsaken locales fascinated him at 11. He was instantly intrigued to adventure after reading an Oak Island piece in Reader's Digest. Rick spent his boyhood exploring, not like on TV. At Kingsford High School, he was recognized for being curious rather than academically gifted. Rick worked as a postal worker sorting and delivering mail after graduating in 1970. History and the desire to discover it never left him. Rick and Marty decided to act on the island in 2006 after talking about it. They acquired half of Oak Island Tours Inc., which owned most of the island. The distant dream became reality. After decades of preparation, Rick tackled the search with purpose. He wanted to do things well because he was meticulous. Slowly, the crew discovered more about Oak Island's dark past. Marty's business and IT skills made the brothers a terrific partnership. They made headway on Oak Island's enigma thanks to Rick's patience. Love of history and enthusiasm drove Rick Laga and his crew to begin a new phase of drilling at the garden shaft. They found a 17th century wooden corridor to the Baby Blob. This finding alarmed everyone, suggesting a worse history than expected. They searched for 18th century hints to a famous treasure. On top of their physical hunt, they looked for evidence of the treasure that had captivated so many for so long. The crew, led by Dumas Contracting Limited Expertise, searched the passage's concealed areas for riches. Water unexpectedly entered the shaft via holes dug around 97 feet, perhaps striking one of the island's famous flood tunnels. Treasure seekers struggled with this issue for 200 years. Pumping out the water and exploring further down the garden shaft, Rick and his colleagues persisted. They discovered massive, unusually formed wooden timbers that indicated the passage's existence and historical significance. The passage's construction may have supported the round to thin beams. The squad turned a corner when this moment proved the passage's existence. Gary, an experienced digger, brought his metal detector to the site to uncover items that may reveal the area's history. After his efforts, his detector beeped on a metal piece, signifying it was ancient. As they dug, the crew placed markers along the channel to chart the subterranean. Pre-machine ad-shaped wood was one among the day's most intriguing finds. Rick and his team felt closer to the island's legends after finding this treasure. Oak Island is a wetland that has a long and illustrious history, and Rick, Gary Drayton, and Billy Gart are now studying it. Their desire to uncover more than hidden treasures is driven by their interest in history as well as the excitement of the pursuit. Components of ships dating back to the 15th and 18th centuries, as well as a railing from the 8th century, were discovered. This discovery demonstrates that the marsh may have a longer history than was previously believed, maybe incorporating Viking explorers from the Middle Ages to the present day. Then, they come upon a large wooden structure that seems to be a wall or dam, which brings to mind what Fred Nolan, a previous treasure seeker on Oak Island, saw 30 years ago. Nolan believed that it was a dam that was used to hide something valuable. The group is curious as to whether or not this new discovery is connected to the old ship railing that they discovered earlier. The geoscientist Dr. Ian Spooner is doing an investigation on the antiquity of the timber structure, as well as its connection to a stone road that is 500 years old. According to this way, the land was inhabited a very long time ago. As the pieces come together, they discover that the swamp has more mysteries that are more profound than anything they have explored so far. There is another area of interest on the northern side of the marsh, and Marty Laga and Dr. Ian Spooner are working with their staff to investigate it. One of the most unusual collections of stones on the island, known as Nolan's Cross, seems to be linked to a large stone. A researcher by the name of John Edwards suggests that there is a possibility that something valuable was hid at Nolan's Cross and that it is related to the Knights Temple. In addition, Dr. Spooner finds a stick that is positioned between the rock and the ground below it, which provides evidence that the boulder was moved in order to control the flow of water in the swamp. The team is intrigued by this discovery, which raises questions about what is under the surface. As part of their mission to uncover further Oak Island history, Gary and Billy led the researchers back to the marsh. The fact that they discovered strange tree stumps and layers of old wood in a swamp where trees do not grow lends credence to Dr. Spooner's assertion that humans have been creating changes to the marsh for a very long time. In addition, when they were digging, they discovered a button that had a gold coating on it, a circular arrangement of stones in a trench that was flanked by rocks, and a large number of intricately carved wood and other wooden things. The fact that this was so well made that it could not have naturally arisen there is evidence of its historical significance. The group grew more cautious and came to an agreement that they would not make any significant alterations until Dr. Spooner had taken the time to examine the area. In addition, they discovered flatware with a complicated handle, which shed light on the various history of Oak Island and sparked hypotheses about the people who had lived there in the past. An investigation carried out in a cutting-edge laboratory revealed that the button was made of gold and most likely belonged to a military commander from the 18th century. An antique shoe bottom with metal studs that were produced using conventional procedures rather than current glues was discovered next to a stone walkway, which sparked new worries and indicated that this path had been used for decades. Relics, coins, and pottery were discovered by the researchers, and with each discovery, they came closer to comprehending the complex history of the region. After beginning their search in the southern marsh, Marty, Rick, and Craig Tester discovered a wooden structure that had been buried under a stone road. This discovery suggests that the history of the region needs to be reconsidered.